Hello, everyone. My name is Max Steinberg. I'm a partner at SaberSim and a daily fantasy professional. And I'm here to bring you a video all about DraftKings and FanDuel's round four showdown tournaments that are really popular. They're really fun. They have huge prize pools and I think are pretty winnable. And thankfully, with SaberSim's tools and our tips and tricks, you can easily go from not knowing much about them to winning at them too. So this video is going to be about my 6 secrets to winning these round four showdowns, and we're just going to get started right now. So the first secret is try to build a lineup with mostly players that have a shot at winning the tournament, right? So DraftKings round four showdown has different rules than traditional tournaments, DFS tournaments. It has a lot of bonus scoring for birdies and eagles and things like that. It also gives you some nice bonus points for first, second, third, and placing high. So getting first place is worth about 2 birdies. And given this is only on one round, that's a lot of points. So being contrarian can be good, just like any daily fantasy tournament. But if you don't have the golfer that eventually wins the tournament, it limits your GPP upside and it makes it so you're not going to be able to win first place, which is a lot of money. So you want to make sure to not limit your upside and play guys that have a shot at winning the tournament, right? Secret number 2, make sure to account for different tournament outcomes and avoid reverse correlation. So this is kind of interesting nuance to round four showdowns is that players who are close to first place will have a higher projection, but in practice, they can't all place in the top 3. So if we look at these projections for the Houston Open last week, you can see Sam Burns was in the lead. Jason Day was tied for the lead, I think, or one off the lead. And you can see by these projected win percentage is before the tournament ended, which Carlos Ortiz ended up winning. All the guys who are close to the top, who have the highest winning projection because they're close to the top, are the guys who are also going to have the highest projection, right? So that being said, when you're actually having the round four play out, not all of these guys can win. So this average projection is not going to help you build those optimal lineups because you don't want to have Sam Burns, for example, if Carlos Ortiz or Dustin Johnson wins the tournament. That's going to kill Sam Burns' projection. He's not as good of a golfer as those other players. And so he's certainly not going to be in the winning lineup if you use one of those guys and they get first, right? So you want to get a good combination of golfers who will score enough to win, but not overload your lineups whose golfers are final scores like Sam Burns, who are going to be hurt by those other people's winning. And that's the key to GPP success, right? And luckily for you, we use our simulation data, our simulator, to simulate the final round for every lineup we built for you. So we're going to take this into account. And I'll take a harder look at some of these lineups a little bit later in the video. But as you can see the top lineup. We have Jason Day, we have Sepp Straka, we have Tony Finau. We don't have Dustin Johnson. We don't have Sam Burns. You scroll down further. Oh, suddenly Dustin Johnson with Jason Day, and we have no Sepp Straka. You can go down here. Suddenly we have Sam Burns, but we don't have Jason Day. So our lineups are going to account for the fact that you don't want to play those reverse correlated guys, and we're going to make sure you don't have those reverse correlated guys in your lineups. So SaberSim's going to help you with that a lot, right? So my third secret, round out your lineups with talented golfers who are behind. So if round four has stud golfers like Dustin Johnson, Hideki Matsuyama, who are way behind, they can be valuable golfers in your lineup because if they have an epic round, which they're capable of, they're going to likely get into this top 10, which is great because getting in the top 10 means that extra scoring. It means possibly 6+ more points. And it also means they have an epic round. So they're obviously going to be one of the top 6 golfers on the slate. And so rounding out with those players can be really, really helpful. So you want to look for guys who are like, Hideki Matsuyama, for example. I said him for a reason. He came into the day with only a 2% win probability, and he ended up placing second and scoring quite a bit. If you look maybe down further, some guy like Victor Hovland, he's way behind, but he's a guy who we know who can score low. he's someone that you're going to want to round up your lineups with. And you can even go down even further if you have some guy like Adam Scott, who's way behind, Sung JM, who's way behind, who could have a really big tournament. And you'll see if you look at these lineups, you're going to get some of these guys in your lineups, right? You can see in the second biggest lineup, we have Victor Hovland. So it makes sense to round up your lineups with these guys. Secret number 4, use sites like datagolf.ca to discover which players are playing well beyond their box score, right? So datagolf.ca or datagolf.com has this live strokes gain data that's really, really helpful in maybe using it to adjust projections, right? Because it turns out that actually players who do well in their long game, especially early in the tournament, that usually ends up being predictive of how they're going to do in round 4. So what you want to do is use Data Golf's tool and look for guys who are really killing it off the tee, approach, and stats like that, and use that to adjust our projections, right? So maybe you see, okay, let's see here. One person who stands out is Padraig Harrington, right? Really good off the tee, really good approach. So I might go to SaberSim, search for Harrington, and give him a boost, right? Maybe boost him a little more to, like, let's say 50 instead of 48, maybe a little more. And I'll look for other players like that. And you can look for people who are really bad off the tee to green, right? Who have made the cut, obviously. So you can see Sung JM was really, really bad off the tee and approach in the earlier rounds. He's someone that I might negative, even though he's a good player. He just seems to not have it off the tee and approaching in his long game that round. So you can adjust projections that way. It's a really easy, fun, and good way to add some value that way. Secret number 5, check the weather. This is really, really important and something I do every time for Showdown. And sometimes it does not make a difference, and sometimes the wind's just calm. If you're looking, I'm looking at the Masters in round 3, and you can see, okay, tomorrow, right, there's not going to be that much difference in wind, right? It's just 6 miles an hour all the way. If you see this visual on weather.gov, doesn't matter. But sometimes you get days where the morning has pretty calm winds and the afternoon has really strong winds. And we might get that on Sunday at Augusta, right? So in the morning, winds are light. Suddenly in the afternoon, we have wind gusts. It could make a difference. And what that means is players who are further behind, who have these earlier tee times, might actually be an advantage to these guys who have the later tee times, right? And so choosing guys who are maybe way far behind, but get that advantage of those early tee times can make a difference. And so maybe if you see weather like that, you can boost some of these guys with these early tee times and get an advantage that way. And it's really important to just look at, because, you know, if this makes a difference, it can give you a big edge. You can get guys who are 2%, 3% owned who could be the top scorer, right? So final secret number 6, trust the simulations, right? So luckily for you, we built your lineups based on our simulations of the final round. And that's going to help you a lot, because most pros have to use heuristics and rules to try to account for this. And they try to limit players from the top 10 and making their lineups, trying to play players not together. It's really complicated, and there's not a good solution unless you're doing something like this, right? So we make it so you don't have to figure out all those rules. We're going to optimize your lineups for how the final round might play out. And that's going to be really, really helpful for these round 4 showdowns. So trust our simulations, do the good stuff like adjusting projections or adjusting your post-build exposure for guys you like. For example, like I said, someone like a Padraig Harrington, if I have him, you can boost his ownership. I don't really see them. Maybe Matsuyama, you can boost his ownership here, so you can do stuff in the post-build process. But do all the fun stuff, adjust the projections, adjust your exposures in the post-build process, and let us handle all that stuff that has to do with lineup optimization. So thank you so much for watching. If you've never used our product before, luckily for you, there is a free 3-day trial for any new users. And if you want to talk to me, chat with me, have any questions for me, you can find me at Max Steinberg on Twitter, or you can find me in the SaberSim Slack channel. Thank you again so much for watching this video, and good luck in your golf lineups this Sunday. Thanks.